Hey, I've been bringing you a lot of Shadol recently, so for everyone who isn't interested in Shadol who watches my channel, I'm going to be bringing you a couple of different deck profiles, and the first one that I'm looking at today is a retro deck profile on Synchro, which in 2009 was one of the most powerful decks in the game. So to start things off, you ran Double Cat, and this card requires little to no explanation, but for those who didn't play, I will try my best. Basically, Cat came out long before it became relevant, and for years and years it wasn't playable in anything. But as time has gone on, the card pool has increased, and with the introduction of synchros, XYZs, this card is busted. So, yes, it's cute, but it's at 0. Okay, so what did you bring out with the Cat? Now, the majority of players brought out this card, X-Saber Airbellum. It's like a Spirit Reaper on crack, basically, but it's also a tuner. So you can use it to go into your overpowered synchros. And I played one Black Panther as my last target, which is really good because you can copy effects. One Dark Arm Dragon. This card has been power corrupt horrendously. Used to be absolutely blowout, but sadly that's no longer the case. Anyway, 2 copies of Spy and 1 copy of Guard. And it's just a small engine. Guard and Spy provide you with synchro fodder, hard to get over the board, give you some presence. Next up, 2 copies of Monk. Monk is insane. Monk grabs you the cat, allows you to go crazy. You can go Monk, Monk, Cat, and then suddenly you've got more than enough fuel to make a couple of Dark Strike fires, but we'll get to that. 2 Mystic Tomato. Obviously back in the day this would float into anything you wanted it to be. It's a bit slow right now, but 1 Gale the Whirlwind. Gale was probably the most splashable tuner at the time, and was for the following few years because it could crash over Shien, Stardust, etc. with its effect. Next up we ran 1 Sangan. Sangan tutors pretty much anything in the deck. 1 copy of Gauze. This card led to massive shifts in advantage, so we played this card to protect ourselves. You always had to be wary of Gauze, you didn't want to run into it. Plague Spreader Zombie, again another splashable tuner. You run a lot of fodder, so this deck is primarily a synchro based deck. Onto the spells, 1 copy of Reborn, one of the most busted spells in the game. 2 copies of Pot of Avarice. If you played plant format, if you played Mermail, you understand the power of this card. And back in the day, you would fuel your grave extremely quickly, so 2 pot was really, really good. Makes those cats live again. 2 copy of Allure. Allure of Darkness, just speed for the deck. You run a lot of darks. Get rid of a Dark Arm Dragon if it's dead. 2 Gold Sark. Use this just to tutor your power cards. For example, if you need a Storm, if you need Dark Armed, if you need Monk, Cat, etc. 1 copy of Sundenbock. Scapegoat. A bit of extra defense whilst you prepare your OTK. And I'll treat these cards all at once. So yeah, you've got 2 Cold Wave, Heavy Storm and Trunade. We all know what Heavy Storm does, destroys all the back row. Trunade bounces all the back row, and Cold Wave is a bit like Denko Saka. So they all facilitate your OTK pushes. In a nutshell. 1 copy of MST, just a little bit extra back row removal. Just snipe off threats. Next up, 2 copies of Mind Control and 1 copy of Brain Control. Okay, in any format, Brain Control is good. Taking control of your opponent's monsters, abusing them, doing what you want with them, synchro, XYZ. But in this format, there was a lot of tuners running about, a lot of just general fodder which was hard to clear, for example a spy that you couldn't beat over, steal it and tune with it. And the same can be said of mind control. On other traps, a couple of mass destruction cards, Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute. Now some expensive stuff. One Trap Dust Shoot. Trap Dust Shoot banned for a reason. Free information on your opponent's hand. You can mess about their plays. 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. It's just amazing, to be honest. When the biggest threats in the game at that point in time came out of the extra deck, Dark Strike Fighter, etc., you really needed this card. So you needed to hold on to it, play at the correct moment. And one last card is Crush Card Virus, Virus Aplasta Cartas, which is Crush Card Virus, one of the most powerful traps in the game. Sadly, not so much anymore, but back then it was absolutely huge. On to the extra deck, we played one level 5 Magical Android, because we didn't really have many level 5s, so that's what we played. For the 6s, we played Goyo Guardian and Gaia Knight Force of the Earth. Now, Goyo Guardian was one of the most powerful monsters in the game at that point. Taking something and synchroing with it, etc., was really, really, really good. Gaia Knight, you look at it and it's level 6 vanilla, but at the time, 26 gets over Stardust Dragon, so it does have a purpose. You have to think a bit differently to understand just how powerful this deck is. Onto the 7s, Black Rose Dragon. Nukes the board, you know what that does. Arcanite, you've seen that in Dolls. Nukes a couple of cards. X-Saber Urbalum. This kind of similar to Reaper. All about applying advantage. And the last level 7 we played is Dark Strike Fighter. I saved the best till last. This card has obviously been errated now, but back then you could easily make a board with 2 of these and that would be game. You would attack with both Dark Strike Fighters and then blow them both up. Main phase 2. We played a few level 8s. We played Colossal Fighter, Thought Ruler Archfiend and Stardust Dragon. These were the best level 8s at the time, and obviously you could run multiple of these if you want. I haven't included the full 15 card extra deck because I haven't got multiple copies, but you would run multiple Stardust, multiple Arcanite Magician, multiple Black Rose. Those are the sort of things you can do. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and hope it's provided a little bit of insight into why certain cards were ran at the time. It's a bit hard to explain it given how the game's been power crept so hard, but hopefully you can appreciate it for what it was and try it out.